dear dolly, polly, shut your eyes, lie still, lie silent, utter no cries as the witcher.
Brandon Teena was born Tina Renee Brandon on December 12, 1972, to Joanne Brandon. He never knew his father because they died in a car wreck 8 months before he was born. During his childhood, Brandon was described as a tomboy. But once he reached adolescence, started identifying as male and getting into females, to which a lot of people chalked it up to Brandon and his sister being sexually abused by their uncle for several years, to where he sought counseling for it in 1991. Also during this time, Brandon started rebelling a lot. At home, because his mother at first rejected his male identity and continued to refer to him as her daughter. At school, because the high school he went to was Christian faith-based, where they had a strict dress code and views on abstinence and homosexuality. Add that with skipping school and failing grades, Brandon was eventually expelled in June of 1991, just 3 days before graduation. Following this, the next couple of years, Brandon would date a few girls, underwent a psych eval, which concluded he was suffering from a sexual identity crisis, and got into legal trouble. So in the beginning of 1993, Brandon left Lincoln and moved to Falls City, Nebraska, a new town where no one knew of his situation. Brandon could freely identify as a man. He eventually moved in with a girl named Lisa Lambert and started dating Lisa's friend, 18-year-old Lana Tisdale. He also became good friends with two guys, John Lauder and Tom Neeson. However, Brandon couldn't keep the secret of his gender identity up for long. On December 15, 1993, he was arrested for forging checks, but when Lana Tisdale bailed him out, he was being held in the female section of prison. This made Lana question him about his gender, to which Brandon told her he was a hermaphrodite pursuing a sex change. He convinced her, and the two continued to date. The news of this, however, reached John Lauder and Tom Neeson, and on Christmas Eve of 1993, the two confronted Brandon, which they forcefully pulled his pants down, where Tom Neeson stuck his finger inside Brandon to learn once and for all the secret. Brandon was truly a female. Later, after Lana Tisdale left, Tom and John beat up Brandon, then drove him to an area where they attempted to rape him, but failed because neither could get aroused. After the assault and attempted rape, Brandon wanted to put it all behind him, but was convinced by Lana and her mother to report it to the police, which he eventually did. 3 days later, Tom and John were brought in and questioned, but were not arrested due to what the sheriff at the time referred to as lack of evidence. Now upset and determined to silence Brandon, around 1 a.m. on December 31st, 1993, John Lauder and Tom Neeson drove out to Lisa Lambert's house, to which they broke in. When they found Brandon, they shot and killed him, along with Lisa Lambert and Philip Devine. The two men were eventually arrested, where Tom Neeson testified against John Lauder for a reduced sentence. He was charged with first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison. He's currently serving time at Lincoln Correctional Center in Illinois. John Lauder was charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to death. He is currently at the Tecumseh State Correctional Institution in Nebraska. where he is awaiting his execution. As time went by, Brandon's mom sued Richardson County and Sheriff Locks for failing to prevent Brandon's death and was awarded up to $93,000. Brandon also became the subject to many LGBT documentaries and movies. The main one being Boys Don't Cry, which he was played by Hilary Swank. Brandon Teena is buried in the Lincoln Memorial Cemetery in Lincoln, Nebraska, under his birth name, Teena Brandon, according to his mom's wishes. He was 21 years old.
My dear dog.